So how did I start my own gym? It's an interesting story because it's interesting insofar as that for a lot of years I said I didn't want to own my own business. I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. My mom and dad owned a computer shop in Antigonish. They started that when I was a kid. Before that, they owned a farm, which they still own. My dad still owns, rather. And, having grown up in that environment, and you see how hard it is, the work and the time, my dad would leave at, 7 in the morning, come home at, 6 and 7 at night, and work every weekend. And, you see that. My mom worked at home, but on the business too. So she had basically 2 full-time jobs. You see what it's like for people to work their butts off for their business, because that's what entrepreneurs do. They just work all the time. And, I thought, I don't want to do that. So for a long time, I thought, I don't want to own my own business. That would be ridiculous. And I was at Nubodys, which is a gym it's a gym chain that was similar to Good Life. They actually were bought out by Good Life. And I was there for, several years. And I felt restricted while I was there. I was their highest paid trainer across the gym, across the entire company, the busiest. I was crazy busy, waitlisted clients. And I liked it. But I just felt kind of trapped. And I decided, I want to try to do some stuff for me. And I had never, they had asked me at the gym to run a class one day. They said, can you run a class? And I was like, I don't run classes. I think it was like a step class, not a step, it was like body bar. And they said, can you run body bar? Somebody's sick. And I was like, no. I don't know how to run body bar, right? I'm not a body bar guy. And they said, well, Devin, can you just do it? And I said, can I just do whatever the hell I want? And they said, yeah, sure, just do what you want. Just, do something. So I went in there and I basically, I had no prep time. And I did this class called, then in my mind, I thought it would be called Fried Legs and Abs. It was just basically, 50 minutes of throwdown. We're going to do a ton of lunges and squats. We're not going to use any weights. We're going to jump a lot, then do a ton of abs, and we're out the door. And, there were like 10 people showed up. And we did it. And the next week, people kept coming to my manager and saying, we really like that. And they said, well, would we do another one? And I'm like, yeah, sure, okay. And by the end of it, a year later or 6 months, whatever it was, about a year later, I guess, there were like 30 and 40 people. There was a wait list to get in. People wanted to, people were dying to get into this class. I think just because I had this no holds barred, there wasn't any foo-foo stuff. I was just, we're putting it down. We're going to go to work. And so with that, people liked it. And from that, my client, Michelle Kempton, said to me, why don't you do a boot camp? And I was like, I don't know, I don't know if that's my thing. And she said, well, people love fried legs and abs. Why don't you try that? And I said, okay. And I basically decided I was going to do this boot camp outside of Nubodys. And I did it. And it was, we're talking 07 at this point. And a bunch of people, Michelle went out and recruited people for me. She was super helpful. And, it was, we got a month in and people liked it. And I was thinking, wow, this is pretty easy. I like this. I like the fact that people enjoy this. I'm making more money than I make at Nubodys, teaching on a class-by-class basis. So it wasn't real hard to say, okay, maybe I'm going to take a step back from Nubodys and transition into, doing my own thing. And I didn't really think of it as, a long-term plan. I just thought of it as, I can do this. If I put my time and energy into it, I think I can do this. And I had I had a 4-year-old and a baby. When my son was 4 and my daughter was a baby. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go do this thing. I quit my job and I just went and did it. And I did that for several years, and it worked well. Like, I mean, I live on it. I was making more money than I made before. But at the same time, a lot of driving around, you're going to different places. I had a studio in my house, but it didn't, it was good. But at the same time, I felt like maybe there's more. And, as time went on, I really started to think I need my own space. But to do your own space, how am I going to do that? And I was fortunate enough to meet a client who was very persistent. And Angel got on me, pushed me. You have to do this. This is what your calling is. You got to do it. And she helped me with it. She was there every step of the way through it. And I started 360. I mean, we already had the name 360, but I, transitioned it into being called 360 Fit. Originally, it was called 360 Wellness and Fitness, which I just felt was too corporate. So it just became 360 Fit. And, with the push and the help from Angel, I rented a space. I didn't know anything about that. Didn't know how to run things, hired a staff, didn't know how to do that. And I just started. And within a year, and so it was like November, I'm lying. On November, we got open. We started the work in August. Supposed to be done earlier than that. We were open in November. And within a year, less than a year, I was separated, because when you start a business, you work like a dog, and you're never home. And that basically was me working 12-hour days every day. There's no time. I never saw my kids. So by September of 2000, this is 2010, November 2010, we opened. By September, less than a year later, I'm separated. The business is coming, but not there yet. But I realized somewhere along the road, as much work as it was, and as much time as it was, I liked the fact that I controlled my own destiny. If it was going to sink or swim, it was on me. So, it was funny how, I always said I never ever wanted to own my own business because it just seemed like too much work, to saying, this is what I want. That was a very short process. I mean, we're talking, I left Nubodys in 07. In 05, 06, I was saying I don't want anything to do with owning my own business. And 07, I owned my own business and working for myself. And within 3 years of that, I owned my own gym. It was 5 years ago that we moved to the new location, because we've been on at, the bigger space since then. So we have been going now for, I've been in 11 years almost. This will be my 11th year of owning a gym. For a guy who never wanted to do it. It's funny, looking back, I always thought it'd be fun to work in a gym. I always wanted to work in gyms. Like, that was my baby. I enjoyed it. I thought it was, if there was anything I was good at, it would be that. But it's funny how I went in a 4-year period from not wanting to own my own business, just not wanting to do it, to saying, hey, this is what I want to do when I own my own gym now. That's a quick turnaround. And I'm not 100% sure why that was so quick in my mind about why I wanted to do it, but I do know that as hard as owning your own business is, and it's a lot of work, it's a lot of time, it's a ton of stress, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it for anything. I don't think I'm a good employee. For lack of a better term, I just don't think I'm a good employee. I'm a guy that I don't like to be micromanaged. I don't want somebody looking over my shoulder. What are you doing with this? How are you doing with that? That's not my thing. And I don't do it with my staff. Like, I'm a guy that if you want to come work for me, I'm not a good fit if you need a ton of hand holding. If you want to do your own thing and, have a lot of autonomy, I'm the guy for you. But if you're somebody who wants a lot of hand holding, I'm probably not going to hold your hand. I treat people the way I want to be treated as a staff, and the way I always want to be treated as a staff. Like, I'm going to let you do you, And as long as the client's happy and you're doing good work with that client, I'm on board with you. That's the only thing that matters. Is the client happy? Are you doing good work with that client? We have no problems. If the client's unhappy, you're doing bad work, we have a problem now. That's how basically I run things. It's like I got a little bit of a, I don't know if it's a biker gang mentality, but just a real hands-off. I hire adults and I expect them to do work and be adults. That's what I want. And I want everybody to be happy, come to work in a good mood, enjoy their time at work. Hey, you spend a lot of time at work. You might as well enjoy it. So that's why I want to own a gym. I want people who are adults, who like what they do, who have passion, and just, do the best work that they can do. So I went very quickly from a guy who didn't want to own a business to a guy who loves everything about owning a business. And it's funny. It's amazing how quick your life can turn around and how you can become a different person and have totally different thought processes in a really short time.